Hey, excellent. All right. Uh, you good to record now? Okay. You're gonna record in three, two, one. Record.
Uh, why did God, it just sounded like I just took a dump right there.
You did though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I took a dump on this episode. What?
Hey, get all that
hey.
professionalism out right now. Right out the window. Just toss it.
Well, I will say that these artistic interpretations of Kana from Dragon Maid as an adult are not nearly as creepy as you would think. Except for the second one that I sent you.
Except for the one with the giant tits that you sent me. Yes.
Yeah, of course. She must have taken from Lukoa a little bit right there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fucking Amazing Podcast, otherwise titled FAPCast.
Yes, if you want to know who we are, stay tuned until the end of the episode.
No, this time we're going to do it right now. We're going to do it right now like we're supposed to. My name is Bullshit, and I'm joined with...
my name is Imdefmek, I guess. I go by many names. I guess I'll go by Imdefmek this time.
The collector of names.
Yes, I can't think of anything analogous to Pokemon Master. Etymology Knitmaster? I don't know. That sounds gay. Anyway, dude, have you heard about Uncrustables?
Uncrustables. I feel like that's some food product from high school that I should have known about, but because I had an Asian mother who packed my lunches, I never got to taste it.
This is probably the laziest food ever. It's the one I have here is a peanut butter and grape jelly sandwich.
Is that those like round thing that looks like store-bought pies, but it's like a Smucker's sandwich, but it looks like a pie?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never had one of those. I wasn't allowed to.
I'd never. Well, I was already out of I guess middle school when these came out. These came out a long ass time ago. But yeah, it's like I never had one, and I like had. I like just saw because they were on sale in my grocery store, and I was just like, okay, I guess I'll get this, and yeah, it's literally like the laziest food ever. This is like the kind of this is for those parents whose kids grow up to go to the Fire Festival. Do you have any idea what the Fire Festival?
I don't know what that means.
Holy shit! Oh my god! You sweet summer child!
I told you I have an Asian mother. There were a lot of things I wasn't allowed to do or know about.
This has nothing to do with your Asian mother. Dude, okay. Let me catch you up to speed here really quick about Fire Festival. First of all, it's spelled Fyre if you're gonna Google it, which you might be doing it right now.
I am literally doing it right now.
Okay, you remember DashCon?
I remember DashCon.
Okay, imagine DashCon except set on a Bahamian island, created by Ja Rule, and involving extremely rich, wealthy millennials.
So like a rich people like
it was
convention?
okay. It was a music festival that I guess only spread around on Instagram and only under specific tags because. Okay, this leads me to believe that there must be like some kind of different internet that rich people use, because apparently this had been promoted for months and I never heard about it and I never saw anything about it. But apparently what it was a music festival created by and hosted by Ja Rule, the hip hop artist / rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to have like Blink 182 and a bunch of other bands, and it was on this island in the Bahamas, and the buy-in for it was $12,000, and that included that and I guess that included everything like flying down and all that shit. And well, it turned into a DashCon level disaster because it started off with people. Apparently, they were supposed to get uh, um, like business class level airplane tickets or seats.
Mm-hmm.
They were shoved on the coach with this charter airline that mainly deals with military flights. Flown down to this island. The tents they were given were UN relief tents. Secondhand UN relief tents, like so when there's a major disaster and the UN goes in to help out and everything, and the Red Cross, so they're those cheap, shitty tents that they house refugees.
Yeah, it's just the shelters for when there's like a hurricane or something.
Yeah, another baggage arrived. Their meals consisted of one of the meals that somebody posted on Instagram was literally like 2 slices of bread, a piece of cheese, and some lettuce. Their bags didn't arrive until a day later, and they arrived on shipping containers, and they basically just like these semi-trucks with shipping containers pulled up, dropped the trailers, and just fucking left. And it's like Lord of the Flies, because you watched it on Twitter and Instagram, and they're talking about like people are getting mugged, like shit's getting stolen. People are crafting their own. These kids were crafting their own weapons and shit to protect themselves. and these are like super wealthy trust fund millennials and like super rich kids.
Yeah, people who weren't accustomed to being stranded somewhere.
By themselves,
or in relief tents.
are not accustomed to being poor.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tweets about it was this girl on Tumblr, or not tweet, it was on Tumblr. A girl on Tumblr said, I had this ex-boyfriend who told me that I had a low IQ. And she said, well, I just found out he went to Fire Festival, so I'm really questioning what his oh no, what did she say? She said, yeah, one of her ex-boyfriends was basically a dude who said she had a low IQ and shit, and now he's at Fire Festival. And it's like, who's the dumbass now? But yeah, this is something I never heard about, and apparently it's a complete shit show, and people are comparing it to DashCon. But it's like bigger than DashCon.
Well, yeah, it's definitely bigger than DashCon because it had a buy-in of $12,000, and how many people attended? And I'm going through a Pitchfork.com article here that I'm not really reading because I don't know this website that well, but they have pictures of tweets about it. At Trev for President tweets with a picture of a styrofoam takeout box with 2 slices of bread, cheese, and some lettuce in it. Quote,
yes.
Here's the dinner they fed us tonight. Literally slices of bread, cheese, and a salad with no dressing. #fire fraud.
Yeah, apparently it came out like because this shit blew up so hard that like the catering company a catering company came out and said, yo, just so all you guys know, we had to cancel our contract with the festival like 3 months ago because they refused to pay us. So it was this is like, this
apparently Blink 182 pulled out of this event.
Yeah, because they worded it differently, but it sounded like they weren't getting paid to do this. So they're like, no, we're not coming.
Yeah, but if that's the case, where the fuck was all this money going? I mean, I'm seeing pictures of people attending and the chaos and all these people here, and it's like there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, and nobody can find where Ja Rule is, or any of the people who actually set the event up.
Yeah, I'm looking at these pictures, like there's so many people here. They all paid $12,000 to get in here. Where the fuck did that money go?
Yeah, apparently the government of the Bahamas want them out. They're like, because it's such a disaster that like people are like robbing each other, and it's just such a complete disaster that the Bahamian government is like going to the U.S. government. It's like, yo, please get these people out of here. They're ruining our country.
Deport them. Deport them all.
It sounds to me just like a gigantic scam. Like, I mean, okay, I told you it was Ja Rule. It's like, what has Ja Rule done since Fast and the Furious? You know, I can't, I have not seen that name in like 10 years. So it's like, what the fuck has he been doing? So I'm leaning towards this is just a gigantic scam, and he's got a suitcase full of money, and he's somewhere in South America right now. What would be really funny is if this was a gigantic sort of anti-capitalist or anti-Western, like just gigantic fucking prank just against a bunch of rich kids. That would be a lot funnier to me. Another thing I will say, because there's actually been a lot of people coming out and saying like, oh, if you're laughing at this, you're a horrible person. This is really cruel. Nobody deserves to have this happen to them. And what I will say is that while I am not a communist, nor will I ever be a communist, I will admit, when I was a lot younger and way more dumber, which is hard to believe, I did subscribe to the ideology of Leon Trotsky. I thought that, yes, we must be in a perpetual war and all this shit. But then I turned 25 and I grew up. But what I will say is I really don't have any sympathy for these kids, because obviously if they have $12,000 to blow on a music festival, they're not hurting. While I did laugh a lot at DashCon and the disaster that happened at DashCon, I have way more sympathy for the people who went to DashCon and got fucked over. I have way more sympathy for those.
Yeah,
for
because
those guys.
in general, the sorts of people who attended DashCon weren't the sorts of people who just have $12,000 to blow on a weekend getaway.
Yeah, most of these people who went to DashCon, that was like the one con they could go to that year. The people who went to Fire Festival, again, it's $12,000 fucking dollars. They're the kind of people who saw the new MacBook. Who saw the new MacBook Pro and thought, oh, that's a great deal. That's the kind of people you're dealing with. And it's like, I don't have any sympathy for people like that. Again, I'm not a communist. I don't believe in the proletariat revolution or any of that bullshit. I see the value in the need of capitalism, but I have no sympathy for these rich, entitled motherfuckers. So, oh, boo-hoo, basically they got to live as a poor person for 3 days. Boo fucking who. And yeah, this is fucking hilarious.
This isn't our main topic for the day. We've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but
yes.
But I do want to read this post, some bits of this post here from firefestival.com. This is the official website for Fire Festival. Posted April 29th, 2017. For reference, we are recording this a day after this was posted. So as of this recording, it's actually a very recent post here. Quote, yesterday was a very challenging day, but we'd like to fully explain what happened. Billy McFarland and Ja Rule started a partnership over mutual interest in technology, the ocean, and rap music. This unique combination, rap music, but why? Blink-182 was going to be there. That doesn't make any sense. This unique combination of interests led them to the idea that through their combined passions they could create a new type of music festival and experience on a remote island. We weren't ready for what happened next or how big it would get. Blah, 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 a bunch of stuff happened. They weren't ready for the people who showed up. As amazing as the Bahamas are, the infrastructure for a festival of this magnitude needed to be built from the ground up, so we decided to literally attempt to build a city. We set up water and waste management, brought an ambulance from New York, and chartered 737 planes to shuttle our guests via 12 flights a day from Miami. We thought we were ready until everyone arrived. We were overwhelmed. The airport was jam-packed, blah, blah, blah. Lots of concern.
No, the reality is they blew most of the money on fucking marketing.
Probably.
Yeah.
Everyone was very concerned for a guest and needed a place to sleep, and everyone did their absolute best to rebuild. We took everyone to the beach and built as many tents and beds as fast as possible. But as more guests arrived, we were simply in over our heads. Ultimately, we didn't think security could keep up, so we had to postpone the festival. We had no other options, so we began the process of getting guests quickly and safely back to Miami, which continued through the weekend. But this is where, and this is no longer me quoting, this is where the post gets interesting.
Wait, are you still recording or not?
I am still recording.
Okay, I thought you said you stopped recording.
No. I'm still recording. I'm just. This is where the post gets interesting.
Interesting.
Venues and bands and people started contacting them, quoting again, and said they'd do anything to make this festival a reality and how they wanted to help. The support from the musical community has been overwhelming, and we couldn't be more humbled or inspired by this experience. People were rooting for us after the worst day we've ever had as a company. After speaking with our potential partners, this is my favorite part here. After speaking with our potential partners, we have decided to add more seasoned event experts to the 2018 Fire Festival, which will take place at a United States beach venue.
Boy, it sounds a lot like DashCon saying, it'll be better next year. Oh, God, fuck you. Like, okay, my one question to them is, do you have Twitter? Do you have Instagram? Have you been looking at the Fire Festival hashtag? You know, we know exactly what the fuck is going on. Fucking Blink-182 pulled out. You know, you've had no fucking support ever since this shit went down. Oh my god. Yeah, this is fucking hilarious. A couple of people said this, including myself. I was just like, you know what? If on the start of the second day, if like C-130s just flew over and dropped care packages full of weapons and MREs, I would not have been surprised.
Here's another bit from this post. All guests from this year will have free VIP passes to next year's festival. So you're telling me you're going to give free passes to everyone who paid for this year's event after you've promised to reimburse them for their lost money for next year's festival? How are you going to pay for next year's festival? You think you're going to get more people to show up than showed up this year? I can guarantee you it's not going to be the way. That's not going to be what fucking happens.
Oh, simple. This ain't gonna happen. They're just talking out of their fucking asses.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, it's like, you know, oh, we'll do better next year. We promise you can have a free pass. There's not going to be a fire festival next year, you guys. No one's going to come. Even if they gave you free passes, people still aren't going to come.
I just can't wait for Jim, aka Mr. Medicure, to do an episode on this.
Amazing.
Because I'm pretty sure he'll do the video like several months down the line when it's all shaken out, and we'll know exactly where the fuck the money's gone. And yeah, I totally believe it's like Ja Rule is somewhere on this planet with a shit ton of money. You know. Or he's using it to pay off some debts he has, because who the fuck knows? Oh, God. Again, like I said before, it's like I have a lot more sympathy for the people who went to DashCon than who went to this, because, yeah, it's, you know, because, oh my God, this is DashCon like times 1,000, and it's just amazing. Anyway, let's get on to our main topic.
Let's get into our main topics here. You have our first one this week.
Yeah, and it's because earlier today you we were talking, and you had binge watched not car crash compilations, more like car fail compilations, which is basically just idiots in cars.
Yeah.
You know,
People attempting to perform burnouts and then proceeding to fuck everything up.
yeah. And I remember when you told me that, the thing I typed to you was, I bet most of them are Mustangs, and you're like, holy shit, you're right.
Yeah, most of them were. And I posed the question, why do you think that is?
And I was like, well, I have my topic for this week. So I'm going to talk about why, when you watch car fail compilations, why so many of the cars are Mustangs. And if you like go to various car forums, there's so many memes and images and stuff about like the best way for a Mustang to exit out of a parking garage, and it's a Mustang on a tow truck, and shit like that. And this is all just speculation on my part, and these are also things that other people have theorized, because this is something that people have like seriously wondered about. This isn't entirely a joke. It's like, why are so many of those cars are Mustangs? And I have a couple hypotheses that are shared by many other people, and I'll just get right into it. Okay, so the car is the Ford Mustang. It was introduced in 1964 and has been in production ever since. I think they're up to the 11th generation now. And it's like a totally American car. Like, I think they finally started selling it in Australia in the year 2000, and now like in 2015 is when they finally released it officially in Europe. You know, so it's a very American car. And it's also a pony car, which it created the class called a pony car. And what a pony car is a powerful, like high horsepower engined car that's built on a compact economical platform. So what it basically is it's a poor man's sports car.
Yeah,
and it
like a Charger.
Yeah, it created the genre.
Yeah.
Like so we had the Ford Mustang, then GM came out with the Chevrolet Camaro and the Pontiac Trans Am. And we've seen this where we've seen like fairly economical or rather mundane cars get very powerful engines put in them, and then they become again like a poor man's sports car or what have you. And that's where the first, because there's many aspects to this. That's where the first aspect comes into this, is that you have a very powerful car at a very cheap price. Like, I think the most expensive Mustang that is produced by Ford is at most like $50,000, and it has I want to say, I think a 450 horsepower engine, which is a lot of power. That is a fuck ton of power. Even the most economical, the most base level Mustang, I think in the current generation, yeah, I should probably actually look this shit up. But historically, the cheapest Mustang has come with a V6. And I know in the last generation, the Mustang V6 had 300 horsepower. And that's just from that's 300 horsepower for the cheapest Mustang. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so it's still the cheapest Mustang you can buy now is a Mustang V6 with a 300 horsepower, 3.8 liter V6. It also comes with you can also get the Mustang EcoBoost, which has a turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 310 horsepower. Then you have the Mustang GT, which is 435 horsepower, and then the Mustang GT 350, which has 526 horsepower. And then I'm going to hop over to Ford's website really quick and just look at the prices right now. So the cheapest Mustang you can get that has 300 horsepower, which, okay, like the car I drive right now has 150 horsepower. What kind of car do you drive?
A Hyundai Elantra.
Your car probably has about 130 horsepower. So we can assume that the average car has around 100 to 200 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
So the base level Mustang has 300 horsepower, and it costs $25,000.
Yeah, mine's 128.
Yeah, and your car probably cost, when it was new, like $20,000. For $5,000 more, you could have had a 300 horsepower Ford Mustang.
Yeah, except I bought this one. I bought mine used from Hertz Rental Cars with an employee discount, so it came out to about $10,000.
Yeah. So, but again, hers probably paid more for it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the top of the line one you can buy from Ford, which is not a Ford. It's called a Shelby GT350, because what they do is they take the top of the line Ford V8 and they send it to Carroll Shelby, who then modifies it and then sends it back to Ford. So the Shelby GT350 in road spec is $56,000. You can get the track ready model for $63,000, but you only put that on the track. You don't fucking drive that on the street. They won't let you drive that on the street. So a street spec Shelby is $56,000. That is affordable for a lot of people. That puts it in a price range where the people who are likely to get it don't have the kind of experience to handle a car like that. That, again, like I said, that's a 526 horsepower car. So you look at the kind of person who might buy that. It's probably going to be somebody in their 30s or 40s who've done very well for themselves. They've gotten far ahead in their company, and they're buying a car that they've wanted for years. And they've probably been driving shitty cars beforehand, so they finally get a Shelby GT350, $56,000. They plunk down the cash, or they got the loan. They can handle the monthly payments, so they finally get the car they want, and they have no experience in handling a car like that.
Yeah.
This is another aspect. Remember what I said, this is a car that's based on a compact platform, an economical platform, aka a cheap platform. This is a cheap car to build. And it boils down to two design aspects of this car. One, it's rear-wheel drive, and two, it has a live axle on the rear end. And actually, a third thing, most of the cars do not come with a limited slip differential. Now, the first thing, what I said, what did I say with the first? I already forgot. It's rear-wheel drive. Most people are used to driving front-wheel drive cars. Now, what happens in a front-wheel drive car is that if you take a turn very hard, it will pull towards the turn. It's not going to, because the wheels that are driving the car are the same wheels that are steering, so it will pull the car in that direction. And if you're in a rear-wheel drive car, the wheels that are powering the car are in the back, and the wheels that are steering the car are in the front. That's very obvious, but that changes the driving dynamics, incredibly. Because what that means is, because again, I haven't watched the videos you've watched, but I already know what the situation was when those Mustangs got into the fucking wrecks. They were pulling out of parking garages, weren't they? Or parking lots.
Parking garages, parking lots,
Yes.
or in the incredibly stupid ones out of their driveway.
Okay, so when you pull out of a parking garage or a parking lot, you have to turn to pull out. And Now, going back to the previous thing, these are people who finally got the car of their dreams. They're really proud. They're really happy, and they have no experience driving these cars. So what are they? So when they leave the car show or the car meetup, what are they gonna do? They're gonna show off. Of course, they're gonna show off. You got this really hot shit awesome car, shit awesome car, and you want to show off. So what are you gonna do? As you're leaving, you're gonna do a fucking burnout. Problem is, it's a rear-wheel drive car. So what's going to happen now? That rear-wheel drive car, even though you're turning right or left, those rear tires are going to keep going the direction you when you slammed on the fucking gas. Those tires are going to go fucking straight, and you're turning left or right. Your back end's going to fucking kick out from behind you, and you're out of control. You're out of control. A front-wheel drive car will pull you. A rear-wheel drive car will push you, and that's why. And
it's a drastic change.
It's a drastic change,
and I can speak to that myself too. When I first started working at Hertz, and the first time I got into a Dodge Charger LX.
Yeah, which is a rear-wheel drive car.
Which is a rear-wheel drive car. And I was not ready to drive that car. I almost fucking wrecked it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
It puts a bit of caution in you.
Yeah.
Because I've been before that. I'd been driving, an Oldsmobile.
Yeah, front-wheel drive Oldsmobile.
A front-wheel drive Oldsmobile Cutlass. So it's like the size was about the same to what I was used to, but the way it handled was completely different.
Yeah. Okay, and so we'll go to the second thing. This is a car built very cheaply. I mean, saying it's built cheap is kind of a disservice. It's built economically. That's the design. That's the design and cultural philosophy of the Mustang. Is that it's an economical car with a very powerful engine. So it has what's called a live axle. And nearly all the cars out there, even the cheap, shitty front-wheel drive cars that you and I drive, they have independent suspension. And what that means is that each wheel has its own little suspension system. So, like my Chevy HHR has independent suspension for all four wheels. So if I go over a pothole on the right side, it does not affect the wheels on the left side. Same with your Hyundai, and same with most other cars. With the Mustang, it has the front wheels are independently have independent suspension, but the rear wheels are a live axle, meaning that the suspension is one. They're connected. So if the right tire goes into a pothole, the left tire will lift up because they're both connected. So, it's a teeter-totter motion.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get into these situations like pulling out of a parking lot and they gun it, all the power goes to the side that they're turning against. So if they're turning left, all the power goes to the right side and not the left side. So the left side burns out, starts burning up and has no traction, thus reducing the control even more. And likewise vice versa. So that adds to them losing control. And then that gets into the third thing I wanted to talk about: limited slip differential. When you have a rear-wheel drive car like that, even with a cheap suspension like that, an economical suspension like that, you can mitigate that with a limited slip differential, which I'm not going to get into. It's a kind of a complex piece of machinery, which you only find in very high-spec cars. Basically what it does is it keeps, because what happens is that in regular cars that have, that don't have limited slip, that just have a regular differential, when the wheel starts slipping, all the power will go to that wheel because that's where the least resistance is. So all the power from the engine will go to that wheel. with the limited slip, that keeps power equal. That keeps
Yeah,
the
that's
power
to help
going
you.
to both.
That's a feature they developed in cars, partially for helping them drive on ice.
Exactly. Yeah, because again, the wheel that slips will get the most power. So a limited slip differential will keep power going to both wheels, or in some cases all four wheels. If you have something like a Subaru or something. With the Mustang, the only ones that have that are the GT or the Shelby GT350, the lower spec, regular Ford V8 or the EcoBoost or the V6 won't have that. Now again, in some cases, in some of these videos, you see that it's a GT350 that's wrecked. A limited slip differential only gets you so far.
Yeah.
Those other two factors play in very well as well. It's sort of like the idea of when ABS first came out. People thought, "Oh, I don't have to worry about driving on ice anymore because I have ABS." And it's like, no, all that ABS does is it helps keeps your tires from locking up so you don't spin out. It's like
It's not going to enable you to drive really fast over ice.
Yeah, and
You dumbass.
you dumbass, exactly. So basically what it boils down to, this long-winded answer of like, why do Mustangs crash so much? It's a combination of a cheap vehicle, a cheap high horsepower vehicle that enables people who don't have the experience to handle a car like that. It's giving people who don't have the experience to handle a car like that the ability to drive a car like that, and again, and you can slide in economic factors. They finally got the car of their dreams, and so they're super proud, so they want to show off. So you have people who can afford high-powered automobiles finally getting the car that they want, and they want to show off. And honestly, that is the number one factor of why Mustangs crash so much. Because I can tell you, for every Mustang that crashes like that, there are 20 Mustang drivers who drive sensibly, who know the car, who understand the car, and thus do not act like fucking assholes. There are tons of Mustang drivers who hate the fact that the Mustang has this image. Because despite it being a pony car, an economical car with a high horsepower engine, it's still a good car. If you understand it, you know how to treat it, it's an excellent car. That's the number one thing about cars like these, is that you need to understand what these cars are capable of, and when you do, it will be a good car. And that's what it boils down to. Why do Mustangs crash so much? It's because people do not know how to respect it.
I think it's a fair. I think that's a fair thing to say too, because a lot of the top 10 ultimate fails of retarded driver videos. A lot of the videos that you see there, they aren't people on tracks. They aren't people who drive a lot. They're generally the people who are fucking retarded. They're not respecting the car that they're in, and understanding, like, yeah, bro, if you just punch it and not pay attention, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, a good example is of this very thing is that if you go to Japan. Now, I'm pretty sure in bullshit you know about this, the whole drift culture and drift racing.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, yeah, if you've watched Initial D or played like Gran Turismo and stuff, or any racing game, they have what's called drift events, and they're a very big thing in Japan and also on the west coast of the United States. And they have preferred cars, and one of the preferred cars is the Ford Mustang. Because that's an excellent vehicle. The Ford Mustang is a great car to drift in, but drifting is a very high-skilled form of driving. And again, it goes back to, if you understand and respect the car you have, it will be a great car, as long as you do what it's capable of doing. And if you look at the drifting scene, a lot of the best drivers will say great things about the Ford Mustang because it's a great drift vehicle. again, it's like, yeah, it boils down to don't be a fucking retard.
Just don't be dumb.
Just don't be
Don't be dumb.
stupid. Don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Again, another example is like, when you see in some car fail compilations, you'll see cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they'll get into wrecks or they'll burst into flames. And you can attribute that entirely to the driver. That is not the fault of the car. That isn't like, there's one specific video, and it's a Ferrari that's being taken out on a test drive, and the guy does the fucking Mustang pull out and fucking spins it out and crashes into a fucking garage.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That proves it right there. It's like, if you do not know how to drive the car, you will fucking wreck it. So don't be dumb. Just don't be dumb. So, okay, we had my lighthearted main topic. So let's get into your depressing shits.
Oh boy. All right. So my main topic: Facebook Live killings and rapes. A really good way to just sort of bring down the mood, just bring it back a little bit to serious topic, and so those of you who've been listening to the news or watching the news or whatever in recent months, you'll notice that there's been not necessarily a spike in instances, but at least a spike in media coverage of people using Facebook Live, and in some cases other live broadcasting tools over the internet, to broadcast various illegal activities like murder and rape. The
very, very aberrant behavior.
Probably the most prevalent right now, of course, is the man in Ohio who filmed himself shooting an old guy on the street and then killed himself. But you brought this one to my attention, MDefMech, from, what is it?
From Sweden.
From Sweden, of three people using Facebook Live to broadcast themselves raping a woman.
Yeah, a very disgusting case. Well, they're all disgusting. Again, because when I heard about the guy in Cleveland, it was Cleveland, Ohio, and he fucking shot himself in Pennsylvania, and I know you said we weren't gonna get into these, but I just want to say bravo to the fucking McDonald's crew who recognized him and then stalled him by saying there was a delay in his fries so they could call the police. And it's just, thank you. That none of them listen to this podcast, but I just want to say thank you to them, because they're fucking heroes. And the guy got more than he fucking deserved. Suicide was the easy way out. That guy should have been fucking put in a gas chamber or something. I don't know. Electric chair. I don't give fuck him. Fuck that piece of shit. Sorry, what was I gonna say?
Something rapes in Sweden.
Yeah. So we've seen, like, we're not gonna dive into the cases themselves, because there's three notable cases, and the big one is the one in Cleveland, that guy shooting that old dude. And there's the one in Sweden of the three pieces of shit raping that woman live on Facebook. And then one of the most notorious ones was the 4 teenagers beating the shit out of that autistic guy and screaming a bunch of racial epithets against him. All I'll say is that they were black teenagers beating up an autistic white man, and so that's where the racial component comes in. But we're not going to talk about those. What we're going to talk about Actually, this is your topic. You should say what we're about to talk about.
That's the context of this discussion that I want to have, is all this shit happening. We're not going to really talk about individual cases because for the purposes of this discussion, they're not important. And I don't feel it's important for us to cover them because, every other news outlet already has for us. You can go look those up. And you can go, listen to NPR's forum episodes on that if you want a discussion about, about the instances themselves. What I want to talk about now is this,
or you could go on to 4chan's poll board to get a completely different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't ever go on the poll. Please don't ever go on the poll.
But what I want to talk about is the sort of discussion that's popped up post these occurrences, which is that a lot of people are putting the onus on companies like Facebook. So there's a huge discussion about how it is important for Facebook to not let these kinds of things happen. Not that Facebook can prevent people from murdering people, but a lot of discussions come out about how it is now all of a sudden Facebook's job to make sure that this kind of content doesn't get posted. And what I've heard the most is that that original video from the man in Ohio who shot the old guy on the street. That video was up on Facebook for a long time, and previous to that, the man had actually made posts hours before he did that, saying that he was going to do that. And then he went and he fucking did it, and the video stayed up for quite a while. And there was this huge, half-hour long discussion I heard on NPR's forum the other day about there's this new technology that's being programmed of how people who work in the social media industry are trying to create artificial intelligence programs that can detect when you are going to do something illegal and shut the posts on social media down and report it automatically. And that's great and all, but that technology doesn't exist quite yet. It's not good enough to be put on the market quite yet for obvious reasons. It's difficult to program something like that. But
and some people will be very against that.
Yeah. And one of the people who called in or wrote in, I can't remember if it was a call or if it was an email or something, wrote in talking about how they felt that Facebook and other companies like Facebook, like for example Twitter or Tumblr or YouTube, are the companies that are most required to pay out for the development of this kind of technology. Now, that said, Facebook is already doing that. Facebook has been trying to create an algorithm to do that for their personal site for a while now, and that's great. If Facebook wants to do that, that's fine, and I think that's a really interesting idea. And I don't have any particular qualms about that to a point. I don't like the idea of artificial intelligence telling me what I can and cannot post on Facebook. But if what I can and cannot post on Facebook really just boils down to, am I doing something fucking illegal? Then I don't really have a problem with that. My problem with that is that I don't believe that Facebook is at fault in any of these instances whatsoever. All they did was give people a platform. It's the people who use that platform that did shitty stuff. And the fact that that video stayed up for so long is not Facebook's fault. Facebook doesn't have the staff to look at every single page on Facebook 24 hours a day. They don't have the staff to do that. And the reason why it took so long for that stuff to get taken down and for that guy to be reported was because nobody reported him.
Now, how long did it take them for... Now, this is some... I'm going to ask you is how long... Sorry, the vodka is starting to hit right now, so hang on. So how long, once it was finally reported, how long did it take for Facebook to to come in and shut it down and report it
Yeah.
to the proper authorities. How long did it take?
About 5 minutes.
So what you're telling me is if somebody reported it like at the beginning or just as he was about to murder that poor man, you're telling me that within 5 minutes Facebook would have reported it to the Cleveland police, and we possibly might have caught this guy a lot sooner than we did.
I don't know that we would have been able to prevent him from killing that guy, because I don't know the extent to which he posted about what he was going to do. All that stuff's been deleted at this point. But if he had posted on Facebook, I am going out, in 10 minutes and I'm going to kill someone, I can almost fucking guarantee that if that had been reported immediately, Facebook had notified the police as soon as they had gotten that notification, which would have been about 5 minutes, that could have been averted. But it took them so long for them to catch him after he did it because he had all that time to get out of there between it happening and Facebook learning about it. Because what happens is when you report a video, that report gets cataloged and sent to their IT team, which is most likely in India. I believe it is actually in India. That takes, I don't know, 20 seconds for that to happen.
Not even that. What's the limit of the speed of light? That's the limit you have is the speed of light.
Yeah, and then, it'll take that guy a couple minutes to get to that report, and then he'll look at it and go, yep, that's some illegal ass shit, and then immediately shut it down and report it. And that whole process for this particular video, the video of him killing the guy, took 5 minutes. But it was hours before...
No, it was days before he was finally caught.
I don't know, but it was hours between him doing it and Facebook being notified.
Yeah, because if somebody would have notified Facebook the instant, or okay, to give some time for the human brain to process what happened and the time it takes to click the report button. Let's say within 30 seconds of somebody reporting that he had killed somebody, and in 5 minutes, and then give Facebook 5 minutes to process that. Okay, an illegal incident had happened. We need to contact the police. They figure out, okay, this took place within the Cleveland metropolitan area. We need to contact the police immediately. They contact the police. A murder has occurred within your jurisdiction. Here's all the evidence we have. They put out an APB. That would have been, to be generous, that would have happened within 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
45 minutes at most.
And
there would have been police out looking for this guy within 45 minutes.
And here's the thing. The time between him doing it and Facebook taking it down minus 5 minutes, because that's about how long it took for Facebook to realize what's going on.
And then, like I said, 30 seconds for somebody to process what actually fucking happened.
Yeah.
And do the right thing.
That space of time was long enough for people to copy out the video and repost the shit out of it and send it, off to, say, media. Before that shit was taken down. Because they deleted it. They deleted that video.
Yeah, and this is where, the good kind of vigilantism... Sorry for butchering that, I'm drunk. That's where that could come into play, where it's like, we just uploaded this to 50 different YouTube channels, and also Break, and also Live Leak, and also VidMe. So... millions of people have seen this video by now, which means, Cleveland area, that's a good, 4 million people live in there. Several 100,000 people within Cleveland have watched that within a few hours. So that means a fuck ton of people in Cleveland knew what the fuck was going on
and
within the day.
And that's not counting the people who were at the time watching it live, because people were watching him.
Yeah.
And so the discussion has come from that is that, well, what needs to happen here is Facebook needs to get on creating that AI to help them parse through all this data so that they can be more responsible about this. And my response to that is, okay, that's great and all, but is no one going to address the fact that at no point for a large period of time did any of the people who saw the video while it was on Facebook and had the presence of mind to, I don't know, copy it and put it somewhere else like YouTube, why was it at no point any of those people hastened the process by reporting it? That's the problem here.
Because it's like, okay, now this is me kind of speculating, hypothesizing how not only Facebook but also YouTube and Tumblr and Twitter handles reports like that. When you hit the report button, is if one person reports tweet, that's a low priority. The more people report something, the higher up it goes in priority. So it's like, let's say 1,000 people were watching this. If one person reported it, it's probably not going to get noticed until hours later. But if all of a sudden 200 people reported it, that kicks it up to the way fucking top. Now I know where you're going to get into, and I'm sorry for sort of jumping in ahead of you, but this effect is something that is not new. This is something that has been a part of human society and human psychology for a long ass time. Whenever I'll let you take it over here shortly, is whenever we see something horrible happen and we're in a crowd or we're in a heavily populated area, because if you're out in the country, if you're like out where I'm at, like you go like 20 miles outside of town and you're driving along the road and you see a guy on the side of the road just fucking gutting another person, you're the only one there. You're probably gonna fucking dial 911. If you're in the middle of like a downtown area, like downtown New York, for example, and you hear gunshots and somebody screaming, you may not fucking report it. You may just be annoyed that it fucking woke you up. And I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah.
About
and what my problem here is that I don't think the responsibility for this sort of thing lies on Facebook as a company. I don't think that's the case at all. It's not Facebook's job to make sure that you don't do anything illegal. It's the police's job. And it's the job of the people around you. And so like if I suddenly, say someone suddenly just up and does this again, right? And we get this whole discussion again, and the litigation starts against Facebook, I can almost guarantee that even if people aren't going to win a suit against Facebook, the damage will be enough to Facebook as a company for it to be a real hit to them. And I find that to be frankly unfair. Because it's not like we haven't had, for many years, the ability to stream things live over the internet using a camera. We have Livestream, we had Justin TV, we had all these other platforms that you could do that in. And if you look at Twitch, for example, right? Twitch, let's say there's a video game that developers have said you can't stream on Twitch. Like, let's use Persona 5 as an example, right?
Yeah, let's use Persona 5.
Because I'm still fucking pissed at Atlas. They raised their streaming restrictions so that you can now stream up to September 12th or something like that in the game, but it's still bullshit and it still makes me mad. But if you stream Persona 5 on Twitch, there are people from Atlas who were hired to literally do nothing but go on Twitch, find all the people streaming their video game, and fuck them. And shut their streams down and get their accounts suspended and the content ID them. And the same goes for YouTube. There are people who are paid to go on YouTube and find things that are trying to dodge the content ID system. Those people, that's their job. Okay?
Yeah, and it's
YouTube doesn't
really
have to do that. Twitch doesn't have to do that. Other people do that. Now, I'm not going to say that streaming a game illicitly is of the same level as, say, I don't know, raping someone on Facebook Live. But let's look at the parallels here. It's still an illegal activity, but Twitch isn't being held accountable for that. YouTube's not being held accountable for that. The people being held accountable for that are the people who have the accounts on the website. And the companies of the copyright holders are the ones paying people to do that. So I'm not saying we need to pay people, to go on Facebook and look at every page all hours of the day, but let's not forget that the onus is not on YouTube to make sure that copyrighted materials aren't on YouTube. They put in a system to do that. It's called Content ID. It's really easy to fuck with. So what do film companies do? They pay people to search for their movie on YouTube and shut it down. So the same thing goes for Facebook Live. If you see somebody, doing something illegal on Facebook Live and you don't report it, that is not Facebook's fault. That's your fault.
Now, okay. Now, I want to jump in here and say, because, in Bullshit just presented some very stark, very harsh allegations there. And I kind of want to jump in and say, you're not an evil person if you don't immediately hit that report button, or if you don't immediately you don't immediately type 911 into your phone. Yeah, the responsibility is on those people, but I do want to say that while they are at fault, there's something about humans and human psychology that when we are in a situation where there's a lot of trauma or stress or any kind of major event happening, that parts of our brain tend to shut down. And what that's most notably called is the bystander effect. Like, before the internet became a big thing, there was something that happened out in Connecticut where I think it was in like Newport, Connecticut, or some fucking town in Connecticut. I don't know. There's like a billion towns in Connecticut. I don't know which fucking one it was. Where somebody on it was shown on a security camera. Somebody was ran over by a car. It was a hit and run. The guy who ran somebody over just took off, and there was this person sitting on the street, lying on the street, just fucking dying. And nobody called 911. Nobody called for help. This happened like in the mid-90s, before the internet or anything was a major thing. And nobody called 911. Nobody called for help, and this guy just fucking died. He died out in the middle of the street. It was a busy Connecticut town. There's people walking all over the place, and this guy just fucking died. And I kind of want to connect this with other things, like if you ask anybody who lived in New York City in the 80s or 90s, or like in Los Angeles or any major city, it's like, you start hearing gunshots in the middle of the night. Most likely you're just going to say, God, I hope those gunshots end soon because I need to get the fuck back to sleep. Or you just don't even pay attention to them. And that's what's called the bystander effect. is that you hear something huge happen and you just don't do anything because
because you're like, oh, it doesn't have anything to do with me.
it doesn't have anything to do with you, or you just say, you just say, oh, somebody else will take care of it. Somebody else is going to call 911. And I will say that's a completely normal response because as a truck driver, I've been in situations like one notable situation happened about 10 years ago. I was out in Baltimore and this car, I was driving on one of the highways in Baltimore and this car just like drifted off the road and hit the guardrail just before a bridge and just flipped the fuck over. And I just drove right past it. And I was under the assumption that somebody else was going to stop and somebody else was going to call 911. It's something I feel really super shitty about it. And looking back on it, I feel really shitty about it. But at the time, I was just like, there are so many people here. Somebody has to have called 911. Somebody has to have stopped to make sure whoever was in that car was okay. And that's something totally normal. And I'm not going to presume that I'm better than anybody. And I'm not going to assume that bullshit's any better. Because who knows what situations we've been in where somebody was in danger or injured and we just did nothing. And I kind of went off on a tangent saying we're not evolved to deal with these situations because there's another effect that happens. It happens a lot in situations like where there's where an airplane has crashed or a ship is starting to sink or a train has derailed, where it's a situation where if you're on your toes, if you're aware of what's going on and if you get out of it quickly enough, you can survive, but you just don't. And it happens a lot in aircraft when airplanes crash. It's like a lot of times when an airplane crashes, people die at the moment of impact, or the other time they die is long after, and it's because of they suffocate because of smoke inhalation. They suffocate, and it's been mentioned before many times when you read the interviews of people who've been involved in crashes where only 10 people survived. And they talk about it and they're like, yeah, I got out of my seat and everybody around me just sat in their seat doing nothing. And, that effect is just, I think what it is, I think you can connect the bystander effect that we've been talking about to that effect is like, we just hope that somebody with a greater authority will take control. We hope that somebody else will take control of the situation and just fix everything. And I that's something that we just need to be aware of and grow out of, and hopefully someday in the future when we evolve enough, we're able to evolve into to be able to just not do that anymore, because that's where we're at right now. It's like whenever a major situation like this happens, like, a plane crash or a car crash or hell, like we just been saying, somebody gets murdered on fucking Facebook, we have to take it upon ourselves to take action and do the right thing, in that plane crash. Get out of your seat. Fucking, if you're with somebody in that plane crash, fucking grab them, shake them, unbuckle them, carry them out of the fucking aircraft if you can, or drag them out. If you see somebody get hit by a car, fucking call 911. If you see somebody having a heart attack, go over there. If you know CPR, start giving them CPR, and they'll just say don't just shout, call 911. Point to somebody, direct your action at somebody, tell them, you call 911. And when you see somebody getting raped on Facebook or somebody committing illegal action on Facebook, hit that fucking report button. You have to be aware. Take action, because your own psychology, your own biology is working against you, because your body, your mind wants to pretend that somebody with a greater authority is going to take action and take care of it. The reality is nobody's going to fucking do that. You have to take action yourself. I wish I had a better ending to that, but I don't. So please say so.
The moral of the story is, guys, it's not Facebook's fault that video stayed up for so long. It's not. And it may not be anyone's fault. But the responsibility for helping to police things like that lies on the people who use the website. Because the website doesn't have all the resources in the world to 24/7 watch all the content that gets put up there. And they never will. There's too many people in the world for them to do that.
Yeah, just a good example. I forget who said exactly, but and I may not even be nearly as accurate, but if you just look at YouTube, 20 or no, it's not even 20. It's like 600 hours of content gets uploaded to YouTube every hour. There's no possible way to monitor every single minute of that, or every single second. It falls onto you to if you see something that you know is wrong, hit that fucking report button. And you might say, "Oh, this is just fucking social justice warrior pandering or whatever." It's like, no, I'm assuming that if you're listening to this podcast, one, you're fucking masochistic because why? Because holy shit. But one, you have an understanding of what is right and wrong. And if you see something that you know is wrong, just okay. If you hit the report button, you're not going to get in trouble. Let's just break this down to the bare bones. The cops aren't going to come and arrest you. Your account's not going to get banned. You're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to get strike against you if you hit the report button. Just if you think something is wrong, if you think something is fucking wrong, just hit the report button. It can be sorted out later. If you you fucked up and you accidentally just like overreacted, so fucking what? Just do the right fucking thing. Just be above your biology. Be above what your brain wants to do. Because if we acted upon what our brains wanted to do, we'd all die of fucking obesity, because our brains just want fucking sugar all the time. Just fucking think for yourself. I think I did that thing where I overreacted to whatever our topic was. So please, I played right into the fucking psychology of what I was just talking about, where I just overreacted about something, and now it's like I know within the week or 2 weeks when you send me the completed version of this episode, I'm gonna listen back and be like, God, I sound like a fucking idiot.
All right. Well, I put your cool shit first in our next segment. I have to go for a couple minutes, so why don't you go through both of those?
Okay.
And I'll be right back.
All right. So, my first thing is a channel on YouTube, which is surprise. I mostly just post YouTube channels and my cool shit. But my first cool thing is a YouTube channel called Greenham Gaming, and I've known about this guy for about a year, and he sort of introduced me to this whole genre of the PC gaming side of YouTube, which they attempt to like. There's a couple other channels like this. Like one notable channel is PC Gaming HD, and then like Low Spec Gamer, which they attempt to get the most out of the hardware that they have. Like, let's say like you're like most people and you can't afford, to have the latest Intel Skylake processor, or have dual NVIDIA 1080 Ti graphics cards. You just have whatever you have, and they try to get the most out of the hardware they have for the games they want to play. And that's sort of what Greenham Gaming started out as doing, and they still do, and he still does it, where he gets cheap hardware like secondhand graphics cards and secondhand PCs, like old Dell PCs and old HP PCs, and he tries to get the most out of them playing games like GTA 5 and CS:GO, and that's all great and everything, and that's a really good genre of YouTube PC gaming videos, because again, it helps you get the most out of the hardware you have, because it's like, hey, you may just have this shitty ass NVIDIA chip and this low spec Intel CPU, but hey, if you tweak the software enough, you can play this game on shitty ass hardware and get a good experience. And that's sort of what Greenham Gaming does, but he also just sort of does retrospectives on various pieces of hardware. And Discord's fucking interrupted me in my monologue. Okay, thank God, and Bullshit's back from dropping the fucking deuce. Congratulations, dude. But yeah, Greenham Gaming, he does that where he dives into what a cheap ass piece of shit computer can do, because trust me, GTA 5 can run on a lot of hardware. CS:GO can run on a lot of hardware pretty decently. You don't have to invest that much money into PC gaming. That whole stereotype that you have to be fucking rich and wealthy to have a good PC gaming experience is often not the case. You just have to be pretty clever. And that's one aspect of what Greenham Gaming does. The other aspect is he does retrospectives on various consoles and graphics cards. His most recent video is about the Wii U, and I found out a couple things about the Wii U that I didn't know before, like the fact that the CPU in the Wii U is the same CPU that's on the Mars Curiosity rover. It's just that the one on the Mars Curiosity rover is hardened towards radiation, but performance-wise, they're both the same, and also, and they're both based on the G3 line of Apple Macintosh. If you want to go bare bones performance-wise, the Wii U is just as powerful as the G3 Macintosh, which is kind of depressing, but also kind of uplifting, because it shows that Nintendo really knows how to optimize hardware, because they certainly got the most out of the Wii U. And that's just from his most recent episode. He's done ones about the Xbox One, about the PS2, about the PS3. But again, the real charm comes from when he just takes, and the kicker is that he puts a lot of personality into whatever subject he's talking about. Whether, so it's like he'll find like this bare bones fucking business PC that is used by accounting offices and shit. And he buys them secondhand after everybody who's used it has forgotten about it, doesn't care about it anymore. And he's just like, hey, let's see what we can get out of this thing. And he does that. And I guess that's what kind of makes him special, is that he adds personality and charm to whatever he's reviewing. Also, he loves to shove a cigarette into whatever he's reviewing and show it just sitting on the beach or in a garage smoking. Like the one episode that kind of scared me was he did a review of the Xbox One and he shoved a cigarette in the disc slot and he put it up to the beach and the waves got within like 6 inches of the fucking console. I'm like, holy shit, dude, you better be fucking careful or else that shit's gonna get fucking wet. But yeah, that's the one thing he likes to do is he shoves a cigarette in like the drive slot and it's really cool because he takes a picture of like just this grizzled old business computer that's now playing CSGO, just sitting out there just smoking a cigarette like, yeah, my life has been fucking hard. It's not getting any easier. Oh yeah, life just fucking sucks, but you just gotta fucking live it. You know, that's what I'm saying. Again, it's like I just said, he takes a fucking Dell computer that's been sitting in an accounting office for 10 years and he just breathes new life into it. You know, that's what Greenham Gaming is. It's both a review show and a tech show, but you know, he just injects so much personality into what he's reviewing that it's really something that's very, very unique. And yeah, I didn't bother to cover both of my topics before you came back, so I guess you better jump on to your topic, your cool shit.
That's okay, yeah. Yeah, it didn't take me quite as long to squeeze out a turd as I thought it would, so here I am with my first piece of cool shit. As always, you can find our cool shit in our show notes, blah, blah, blah. My first piece of cool shit is a link to a playlist
I love this.
On Roboz's channel. Roboz, of course, being one of my favorite Let's Players on YouTube.
One of my favorites as well.
Of his Let's Play of From the Depths. And From the Depths is literally, it's almost like it's a game made for him. It was the perfect game for him. Because it's a game where you get to build and design your own navy, and you sort of move around this map and capture points and try and become the one ruler of this big ocean, a la almost Mount and Blade Warband, except if you could build everything from Legos.
Yeah.
And this game is absolutely hilarious, and it's also one of the games that taxes his computer to the fucking limit. But his Let's Play of this game actually got me to get the game, and I've been playing it, and I really enjoy it, actually. It's very fun, being able to build your ships from scratch, and he has a very inventive mind. At one point, he does a whole episode where he makes a walrus out of ship parts and then proceeds to use it to decimate things, and it's absolutely hilarious.
He actually built like 5 of them.
Yeah.
He built 5 of them, and like I think one after like one of his battles, like one survived because it's like he didn't program the AI just right. Yeah, that's how in depth this goes. It's like I bought the game after watching him play it, and I started playing it, and I'm just like, this is fucking way above what I'm capable of. This is just... Because it's not only just, like, building the ships, it's like, you have to program the ships as well.
You have to program them, and you have to figure out how to build the lasers from all the different parts and everything. Yeah, it's really a really, really complicated game.
My favorite, because, again, well, not again, but I'm a huge fan of robots as well, and I have YouTube Red, and I have this playlist saved, so whenever a new episode comes up from Depths, it's automatically saved so I can watch it. But my favorite episodes is when he finally gets the schematics for the squirrel, and so he starts building squirrel, and they're so unpredictable that they start destroying themselves. It's like it's like that's what makes us, because if you just watch his videos and you don't even play the game, you realize that the squirrel is the most frustrating, yet it's both the most frustrating vessel to build, but also the best vessel to build because it is so fucking unpredictable. Because once he gets the schematic and he starts building them, it's like he doesn't even finish building them before they just take off. And they just take off and they're like half fucking built and they're just flying in the air and then they just crash. Because their AI is just so fucking unpredictable. It's just like whoever developed the squirrel is just is both a madman and a fucking genius.
And a genius, yeah.
It's like,
And then if you put too many of them together, they just crash into each
yeah,
other.
it's like, wait, it's like, they're like real squirrels. It's like, are they fucking or are they fighting? I don't know. Yeah, From the Depths is an amazing game. And don't be like me and just buy the game on impulse. Watch all of his videos and be like, yes, I think I'm capable of using this game. Watch all of his episodes and then buy the game if you think you can handle the game. Because I bought the game like within the first couple episodes and I just went into it. I'm just like, oh fuck, you gotta actually like do shit. Fuck, I thought I could just slap blocks together. Fuck me. Yeah, From the Depths, or yeah, fucking incredible game. All right, I guess I'll go on to my shit. So you guys all remember that Pepsi commercial that came out with that one fucking popular celebrity, and it totally tried to cash in on the whole social justice thing and all the protests and stuff, and it totally blew up in Pepsi's face because, believe it or not, the one thing that the left and the right could agree on was Pepsi really fucked up that commercial. You remember that commercial with the protests and stuff that was totally fucking stupid? You remember that?
Yes, I remember that. There was a huge fucking thing about that.
My favorite thing that came from that is because we've got another round of Berkeley protests, and again, with Berkeley protests, we get Berkeley riots. The best thing that came out of that Pepsi commercial is now you can expect to find one guy with a GoPro camera and a can of Pepsi trying to give either the alt-right or the Antifa a can of Pepsi and have them just take it and throw it at the other side. My favorite one is the first video of that, where it's just like the guy walks up to somebody from the Antifa side, the anti-fascist side, just hands them a can of Pepsi, and they just look confused, and then they just chuck it at the other side. And that's what's been happening. Pepsi totally screwed the pooch on that. So Heineken was just like, hey, we kind of want to cash in on this social justice shit as well, so we're gonna do this. So this is their commercial. It's about 5 minutes long. It's a pretty long commercial, but it's a very, compared to the Pepsi commercial, this is totally different, and it works so well. Because what Heineken basically did was they got a bunch of people from different sides, and they don't sugarcoat it. It's like you got people with like t-shirts saying, fuck the patriarchy. You got people with t-shirts saying fuck feminism. They interview them beforehand. They're like, yeah, feminism is fucking cancer. It's fucking bullshit. Feminism just is all this shit. And you got people on the other side saying, fuck white men, fuck cis white males, fuck people on the extremes of both sides, and they do this little test, and they have both of them build a bar. So they get one person from each side, and they're like, okay, you two are going to build a bar together. So they build this bar. They don't know, beforehand, they don't say, okay, the other person you're going to work with is a feminist, or they don't say the other person you're going to work with is an alt-righter or right-wing or whatever. They just say, okay, you're gonna help this person build a bar, and They build a bar together, and it's like IKEA level shit. They have IKEA instructions, and they work together. They build this bar, and then somebody comes out with a couple beers, a couple Heinekens, and they say, hey, you guys built this bar. Just so you know, that person you've been working with is a feminist, or that person you've been working with posts on poll or is an alt-righter. And hey, if you want to, you can have a beer with them, or you could just leave. And a couple of the people leave, but a couple of them, they decided to share a beer with each other, and they start talking to each other, and they talk to each other, and they kind of have discussions and arguments, and believe it or not, some of them come to an agreement. And Heineken did what Pepsi tried to do, and I think they succeeded. Because, some of them just fucking walked out on each other, or some of them couldn't come to an agreement, but a couple of them, they came to an agreement, and the product that they were trying to that they advertised played a sideline. It's like, the Heineken beer wasn't the focus of the, well, again, it was a commercial. It's a commercial, so again, they're trying to sell Heineken beer, but they presented the beer as sort of a sideline to having a discussion. It's like you drink our beer while you're having a discussion with somebody else, and sometimes you don't agree with that person. And I just think this is a really good commercial, because it shows, because it shows like what happens in bars a lot, where it's just like, you don't come to a bar for the beer. If you want to just drink the beer, you just fucking buy the beer and drink it at home. You go to a bar to have a discussion, to interact with people, to socialize, maybe get laid, or maybe you just want to interact and talk to people. And the beer just helps smooth things over. And Heineken plays into that and does. They did what Pepsi tried to do, and they succeeded at it. That's basically all I want to say. I don't know if you've watched the commercial yet, and bullshit.
I did. I watched it before we recorded.
So what do you think of it, really quick?
I really like this commercial. I'm a little biased in the fact that I really don't like Heineken.
I don't like Heineken. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't like Heineken as well.
I don't really like Heineken that much, but this was a really nice commercial, and I feel like what they did, they accomplished better than Pepsi did, because I feel like Pepsi really just sort of ham-fisted that commercial.
I think what Pepsi did was they just looked at the market, and they just looked at the hashtags and the trends, and were like, oh, hey, and they just sort of really ham-fisted it, and they just looked at, oh, people are protesting, we should do protests as well in our commercial. And just didn't realize why people were protesting, or why people were fighting. And Heineken just sort of looked at it and be like, okay, we know what we know what the different sides are. There's a lot of discussion about, feminism and left versus right politics. So let's get people on opposite sides of that and try to get them talking to each other, and we'll just shove in our beer wherever we can. And yeah, it's total marketing, but it fucking works. And I think if you're going to market something using current event issues, this is what you're going to want to do. It's solely capitalist, but it's solely, capitalism at work, but it fucking works. Not much more you could say about it. So, all right, you got one more thing, don't you?
Okay. The last piece of cool shit I have for you guys is the trailer. It's the official Japanese trailer subbed in English, because I know there's a lot of people who don't like English things when they're anime. For a new movie that's just come out to America quite recently, called Kimi no Nawa, or Your Name. And it is, I have seen it. I have seen a copy in Japanese. I will be going to see it in theaters, because I do actually really want to see the English dub, because the movie itself has generated a lot of buzz. This is let's see, when is it being released here in America? It's being released in America. Oh, it doesn't say. It might not be released yet. Yeah, originally shown first in a convention in LA in July of 2016. Um, but I don't know if the it has actually been released in America quite yet. Um, but anyways, I've seen it in Japanese, and I am very interested in seeing it in English. Kimi no Na wa Your Name. It's about two people who live in very different parts of Japan, who suddenly wake up and find themselves in each other's bodies. You know, it's a traditional body swap. They swap bodies and they swap back, and they can't figure out what's going on. Eventually, they learn each other's names and resolve to meet up with each other. And it's absolutely gorgeous film. I can't stress it enough. It's an absolutely gorgeous film. Has some of the best animation I've ever seen, and most importantly, it is the highest-grossing anime film worldwide.
Oh my god! It's by Makoto Shinkai.
Yes.
Oh my god! This is okay, yeah, he made that one anime like all by himself. Yeah, Voices of a Distant. Holy shit! I love Voices of a Distant Star.
Yes.
Oh my god! I gotta fucking watch this. Holy shit!
Yes, he was also the director of 5 centimeters per second, which is one of my favorite anime films of all time, as well as Garden of Words, which has some of the most incredible animation of mundane objects I've ever seen. That's the one that, if you ever see the thing on Tumblr of the gif of the guy drawing,
Yeah.
and people getting angry, like, how can I'm over here, I can't even draw a smiley face, and people are animated characters drawing things well.
Yeah.
You know, that's the movie Garden of Words. But this is his latest film, and it has to date made more money worldwide than any other anime film.
Jesus, yeah, because I've watched Voices of a Distant Star and Place Promise in our early days, and those are ones that he made like entirely on his own. He did those complete, like, when I say on his own, I mean on his fucking own.
Yeah, Voices of Distant Storm. Makoto Shinkai is credited with writing, production, character design, storyboarding, editing, and animation.
Everything. Yeah. That's how I got to know this guy, is because he was the guy who did everything. And yeah, I kind of just like dropped out of following him, and it's like, holy shit! I'm really glad to know that he's still in there, because holy shit.
It's I misspoke. It has since overtaken Miyazaki's Spirited Away as being the highest grossing anime film period of all time.
Yeah. yeah, I believe that.
This movie is amazing, and you should absolutely see it. It's very, very good.
Yeah. Though, to be forewarned, if you're expecting a lot of action and a lot of stuff to happen, kind of temper that, because yeah, it's
Oh no, his films are always very quiet.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. His films are very quiet.
They're quiet, subdued films. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very contemplative. So, you know, if you're expecting like something like Summer Wars or something like that, you know, you're not going to find that here. These are very contemplative anime.
Yes, North American Theater's release is being handled by Funimation. Is released on April 7th of this year. So not too long ago. Hopefully it's still in the theaters. I need to go see it.
I already know that it's not going to be in theaters around me, so I'm pretty much going to have to either buy it or find it somewhere else. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you should definitely try to see it if you can.
Yeah, and there are places you can watch it online, and that's all I'll say.
yeah. There are definitely ways to see this. Definitely, that's all I'll say. But yeah, it's really good to hear that Makoto Shinkai is still in there because we kind of all know how harsh the manga and anime industry already is. Just if you just have one role in it, like we've all heard, the horror stories of being an animator or being a manga artist. Like we all know the guy who, if you're in the manga and anime, we've all heard of the Naruto artist who passed away, and it was just due to overwork. So to hear this guy who did everything himself, in Voices of a Distant Star and Place of Promise in our early days, the guy who did everything himself just still in there, just fucking doing the shit. It's just amazing, and I hope he went on vacation after Your Name because holy shit, this guy's a fucking worker. We don't need, he's how old is this guy? Yeah, he's 44. We don't need him dying at 46. This guy needs to live long and well because he's got a fuck ton of potential in his craft.
Yeah, he is a very, very talented director and artist.
Yeah, and I've kind of been poo-pooing the idea of talent, but it's just like, just let me just jump in here and say, whatever you're passionate about, just fucking work at it. Just focus on it. If whatever your passion is, just fucking focus on it. Because we might say that Makoto Shinkai is very talented, but talent doesn't mean fuck all if you don't have the motivation to fucking work on it. It's like, I don't know exactly how many hours per day he spent on Voices of a Distant Star, but I'm assuming that he didn't get a lot of sleep while working on Voices of a Distant Star.
Yeah.
It's like talent only takes you so far. Passion and work ethic takes you a lot farther than talent. So it's just whatever you are passionate about, focus on it, and you'll go far. You will create something spectacular. So, yeah, I think, holy shit, what the fuck happened to our fucking Google Docs? Is all fucked up. The fonts and shit. What happened?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Who did that?
What is that?
Whose video is that?
Oh, I accidentally pasted it again. Oh. Sorry about that. There we go.
Thank God. Thank God it wasn't me who fucked something up. So, yeah. Do what you like. Do what you want. And do it as much as you can. And just... I'm gonna go on a little tangent here because it's something we haven't really talked about yet, but it's something that I think needs to be talked about, especially in light of what's been happening the past couple weeks. And bullshit, you may not know much about this, but there's been a lot of big changes on YouTube regarding ad revenue and stuff. Mostly that YouTube has given a lot of control to advertisers, and they've been... Mm-hmm. And so ad revenue on a lot of videos has been cut drastically, and there's not been a lot of communication on why it's been cut. And I just want to reiterate something that do not go into something hoping that you will get super popular or that you will make a fuck ton of money, because 99 times out of 100, that's not going to happen. Go into something because you want to do it. All the people who are big on YouTube do it because they got into it because they love to do it. If you go into something expecting to become rich or famous or both, it's not going to fucking happen. you have to be passionate about it. You have to want to do it. Because as we can see now, a lot of people on YouTube now are starting to look for second jobs, and a lot of the content they're making is going to be scaled back greatly, and that's just the reality of things. So again, I just want to reiterate, just do what you love because you love it. Don't do it because of fame or fortune. So, yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right, with that, we wrap up this episode of the fucking amazing podcast, otherwise known as FAPCast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We have social media.
Yeah,
it exists.
Yeah, you have your social medias that exist. I decided to take off my YouTube channel because, well, it's pretty much just where I'm posting up the FAPcast episodes. So that's kind of redundant. So I replaced it with my Instagram account because I decided to do something I really do fucking like, which is photography. And I think I linked you to some pictures I took earlier today, and
yeah, you took some really artistic pictures of your amiibo at a park. I found that rather amusing.
Yeah, some really oh my god, dude, it was such. And here's to show you how much it means if you're passionate about something. Because if you go on my Instagram account, the pictures we're talking about are the ones of the Poochie amiibo, which I have, and they're at a park. And let me just say that when I took these pictures, it was very, very windy and it was raining, and my fingers were completely numb while doing this. And there are only like 4 pictures, but that's out of about 100 pictures, because if you're really into photography, and this is why digital photography is such a godsend, is you're going to take at least dozens of photos just to find just the right one that's just perfect. And yeah, and I'm not even like a professional. I'm just, because the thing is like I started, like I when I was a little kid, I was really into photography, and then as I grew up, I sort of put that aside for several decades, and now I'm just starting to get back into it. So I'm just starting out again, and I know I've watched videos from professionals, and I've read blog articles from professionals, and they say, and these are guys who work for Instagram, or work for, or freelancers who, this is what they do each and every day. And they say, yeah, I take like 1,300 photographs a day, and at the end of the day, 10 of them are good enough to put up, for sale or to submit for publication. And I'm almost to that point. Today with these Poochie amiibos, I took maybe 100 photos, and out of 100 of them, 4 of them were what I thought were good enough. And if you think that's weird, imagine seeing a fat fucking Jew in the middle of a park with a digital SLR camera with a fucking little plushie he's putting on fucking rocks and then taking 20 photos of at a time in the fucking wind and in the fucking rain. Not to toot my own fucking horn, but yeah, I really like photography. So, as one of these days, we're going to get guests. We're going to have a guest one of these days.
One of these days, we're going to figure out how to end our episodes.
Yeah, this is like a phone call between me and my dad. It's like you hang up first.
Okay. With that, bye.